Hi women, welcome to Soulmate of Self. April 15th, 2018. Today we continued with the essence, purity of your soul, of your heart, your essence, your truth of essence. Oh, there's a beautiful hawk right above us right now. Oh my, oh, yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we started off today's session with going on in, and we used a bunch of copal, which I love copal. Copal and sage and cedar, and just cleaning and clearing out each of your heart spaces. And your angels and guides were with you the entire time, as always, and really getting in and moving the energy in your heart spaces, of just purifying your heart spaces. And we did that for a while. And then we moved on into allowing source to come through your heart spaces. Oh, it felt so good. It was so soothing, and just the essence of source, of your life force to come through your heart spaces. Oh. And so then we moved on into, and I was shown that rather than working with doing release work, clearing things, cleaning things, releasing, remember that whatever we focus in on, whatever we think about, whatever we speak about, whatever we focus in on, whatever we feel, that expands, right? We continue to just create more and more of the same. So if we focus in on clearing and releasing, clearing and releasing, clearing and releasing, then our job of cleanup is never ever going to be done. That's just what our pattern and our approach is going to be, okay? So this was pretty profound in that another piece that tends to happen is when we talk about source, and if you don't do the release work, the clearing work, and you just allow and you call in source to come through and wash you clean, or just to join and connect with source, sometimes those little parts of your psyche, those little nuanced nooks and crannies, can kind of come face to face with and feel in dissonance with just source energy, and feel that resistance, and then block it and cinch it off more. And that's not what we're going for at all, right? So what's being called for is to look in those places where there's these nuanced little kind of little closets in places where there's protective walls or protective areas, and we want to bring source and allow source into those areas, right? But then the question was okay, well, how do we do that? And so instead of looking at source as such a huge, abstract, vague concept of energy, what we're called to do was to name out specific expressions and dimensions of what source is. Now there's infinite. So what we channeled were just a nice chunk of them, okay? And that's a great starting point with it. And so by specifically naming off what source is and its beingness, will automatically create openness into those other defensive parts within yourself where it might have once created dissonance and resistance to source coming through. Will now allow for there to be opening for source to come through. Let me explain a little bit more, okay? Let's first remember that source is the master. Source is the master of all. And our defense mechanisms, our fear modes, our defense mechanisms, pretty intelligent. It's really mind-blowingly intelligent. And at the same time, source is master of all. Master of all, meaning source already knows your defense mechanisms, knows all the different like side angles to get to, knows it like 10,000 steps ahead of itself, right? What it's going to get tripped up about, right? What it's going to try to protect you from, what it's going to try to like, kind of like resist you from feeling love from, and why, and all of that. Source knows. It's the master. Your source, your life force is the master of all, okay? That's the first thing, and remembering that, and that's what we're tuning each of you to what source is source is the master of all, okay? That's the first thing. What we're going to do is I'm going to go through some downloads, and you can say yes out loud, and this is going to help bring source from such an abstract concept into its fullness and roundness of beingness, okay? So I want to invite each of you to say yes out loud, okay, to this, with what source is, okay? So, and then I'll explain this more after this. So source is infinite love. Source is Reiki, infinite light. Source is master. Source is the master. Source is masterful. Source is intelligent wisdom. Source is grace. Source is easy. Source is ease. Source is intelligent synchronicity. Source is intelligent orchestration. Infinite truth. Infinite purity. Infinite fun. Source is infinite joy. Source is infinite freedom. Source is infinite currency. Infinite flow. Infinite wealth. Infinite health. Divine sexuality. Sensuality. Infinite peace. Source is relaxation. Is calm. Source is inspired action. Source is divine feminine. Source is divine masculine. Source is passion. Source is cooperation, collaboration, co-creation. Source is connection. Source is infinite connection. You are infinite connection. You are source. You are source. Source is connection. Connection is source. Source is trust. You are trust. Source is trust. Source is infinite trust. Source is infinite allowance. Infinite well-being. Source is power. Source is power. Source is well-being. Source is wholeness. Breathe that in. Breathe that in. Okay? Allow that in. Allow source within you. Okay? Allow source within you. Into all of your parts. Remember, source is the master, right? Source is infinite intelligence, orchestration, right? Knows all the moving pieces and parts. Knows your psyche up and down. Knows all those different parts of your psyche that go on automatic protection mode and pilot, right? So remember this, allow source in, and allow source in into all of those places. Source knows where it is going to speed up, maybe surge more energy and love up more energy, more parts of you. And source also knows, because it's so intelligent, knows the workings of it to know, oh, in this little area over here, this little protective or defense mechanism over there, we're not going to surge it through. We're going to use some grace. Maybe we're going to get it at this angle over here first. That's going to soften you a little bit. And then we're going to move on over here. And then we're going to love that area up, and that's going to open you on up, and then we can surge that energy and that source energy and allow it through you even more. You got it? You guys, so you just want to allow it in and allow source in. You want to tune and connect with the specific, with some of the specific details, because they're infinite, right? Of the specific properties of source's beingness. And if you continue to do this each day or all the time, often, I recommend often, right? Where you read through this list, where you make your own list, right? And you tune yourself and you keep wiring and connecting yourself to when you say source, and when you're saying, I allow source in, I allow source into my heart, I allow source into my life, in my relationships, into my mind, all parts of me, into my body, I allow source within me. I am source. I am my life force. I allow my life force. I allow source. I allow my life. I allow source. I allow my heart. I allow source with my heart. I allow source, right? It no longer is like such an abstract concept. It's like you've specifically tuned and connected for yourself all of those specific expressions and properties of what source is, right? And the more that you do that, then the more that you don't need to kind of focus in on what you are releasing, right? Because that just brings more and more of the same thing to then go and release, right? You then just allow source in all of those different spaces that want to be loved up, that are ready to be loved up, right? And you bring in that infinite intelligence. It is so infinite in its intelligence and its design, okay? So you want to allow source. The other piece that I saw was around the verbiage around allowing source and focusing with source. I focus with source versus pivoting. So I love the word pivoting because I grew up taking dancing a lot, and it reminds me the word pivoting reminds me of dancing, and I love to dance. So I still use that word. We really want to use the word focus, because if we use the word pivoting, remember, whatever we think about, we speak, we focus in on, we just create more and more of the same. So if we use the word pivoting, then we're going to keep creating experiences in which we need to pivot back into source, okay? There's a better word that actually encompasses both, encompasses the experience of that will allow for more source. When we're connected with our flow of source and we're feeling connected with source, we can then say, oh, okay, I focus with source, I allow more source, I keep focusing, I continue focusing, I continue focusing, I continue focusing with source, I continue allowing source. Beautiful. That continues to allow more and more of the focus of source, more and more of allowing source into our beings, right? And into our life, right? And then we also use focus when we feel like we're in fear mode, or we feel disconnected from our source, or disconnected from our flow, our life force. And we, instead of using the word, I'm going to pivot, right? Because that'll just create more experiences in which we need to then pivot back into source, or with source, right? No, we're going to use the word focus. So if you feel disconnected from the source, and it's like, I focus with source, I focus with source, I allow source, I allow source, I focus with 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 source, I allow source, I allow source. I feel connected. I feel connected with source. Beautiful. I feel connected with source. I allow more source. I allow source. Okay? Try that out. See how that goes for you. Okay? Focusing. I focus. I allow source. Okay? And then I want you to write out as well what source is specifically for you. It could be all the things that we just said, and you can write those out, but I want you to write them out or type them out, whatever you want to do. But I definitely recommend writing and getting it out of you, right? And onto paper, and so that you have it for yourself. So you can write down everything that we just downloaded source with and the properties of source with. And then when you look at it, add to it all of the other pieces that come through for you. And that's going to be something for you to keep looking at, continue looking at every day, and you're gonna, your brain is gonna get it as well, okay? And you, and within your own inner alignment, is gonna get it as well. More and more and more, you're gonna strengthen it. You're gonna go deeper with it. You're gonna remember it. When you say source, you mean the master. When you say source, you mean the master who knows exactly how to finesse its way into all of the different little psyche defense mechanisms and resistance and all of those little parts that need the most love to go on through. But we know source is the master and knows exactly how to finesse its way with grace, with ease. Maybe go over here a little bit, and then go over there, and the side angle over there, and then it can come on over here, and then it can blossom more source. Okay, does this all make sense? You get it? Okay, so just breathe on into all of that, ladies. Whew. Okay, and then I really invite you to share on our group page what source is for you. And you can share as much as you want. You can share a few pieces, you can share, I don't care how long you share, I mean, as much as you want to share, please share, and write out the specifics. If you need to first focus in on, kind of more general of source is love, source is joy, right? Which it is, great. Focus in on that, whatever comes through, okay? Source is all-knowing, right? Source is intelligent. Source is unconditional. Source loves, right? You just want to keep writing the specifics, like what we were saying. Source is the master, is divine orchestration, which means it knows all those different moving pieces and parts of everything, right? You want to cover all of it, all of the bases of where the resistance might be, and you want to cover it with source, right? And its counterpart of source, okay? And then when you share that, then we can all read it, and maybe it'll help to enlighten other ladies in the group from what you wrote of, oh yeah, that's right, I want to add that to my list of sources. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Oh yeah, definitely. And the more that you write it, or you read, or you share, it just amplifies, because the power of our group just continues to amplify it for all of us, okay? Ladies, I love you so much. Thank you so much for all of your love, your spirit, and joining us here in Soulmate of Self. Continue to share on the Facebook group page. I'm here for each of you, and continue to share your celebrations, your excitements, and your developments. All right. Bye for now. Mwah.